Right, deep breath.
Firstly, are you okay? I hope so.
Digimon UP, the new Digimon mobile game released this week to a reception. While at its core it is very similar to the idle Digivice toys of the past, it has also invoked the wrath of the fanbase due to its monetization, gacha systems, and ads that run, and why do we have to have these? But also there's a lot of fans that are enjoying it for what it is. Yes, it's idle, but there are gameplay segments you can play, like the Digital World Search, a sort of dungeon crawler, and maybe with just a few tweaks it could be good. Doesn't feel like people are gonna wait and find out though. What is up, digital companions? My name is Karn EX and welcome back to Digimon UP. Oh dear me. Yes, Digimon UP launched this week. Everyone loved it. Definitely no problems. App Store rating is going great. Quickest future Karn in a while. I said that as a bit of a joke when I originally recorded this video, but already up from the 1.9 it was on launch day, it went up to the 3.2 you can see here, and now as of time of publishing today, it's at 3.5 out of 5 on the Apple App Store and a pretty solid 4.0 on the Google Play Store, perhaps indicating that more people actually playing the game for longer are starting to enjoy more things about the game than the initial presentation, perhaps. There has been, of course, the suspicion that this is all bots and paid reviews. However, I saw a really insightful comment on Reddit, I know that is possible, just kidding, from Not Jack Nicholson, who said, I can actually speak to this. Android and iOS usually update scores every 24 to 48 hours. It's most noticeable right when a game launches, since you can see a flood of new users at once. So it looks like a bunch at once, but in reality, new reviews just don't show up immediately, they're updated daily-ish. This is someone that works at a publisher for mobile games, and apparently this is very normal, this is something that happens quite often, and also that apparently it's not common practice for mobile publishers unless they are Google or Apple first party to delete reviews. I will say though, if you watch my coverage, this is pretty much what you should have expected. Like I say, it's heavily evoking Digivice toys with the raising one partner through to Mega and starting again and getting another one. And let's not forget, original Vpet toys and Digivice toys were basically like this. I was thinking about this while I was playing up, and it's like, besides all of the monetization ever, you also with the Vpet toys go idle for a while until something happens like a battle, or you choose to feed. But you know, modern Vpets have had options like pausing and things like that, and I know more recent Digivice toys also have a lot more engagement. But yeah, the reaction to this has not been anywhere near like the reaction to Digimon Story Time Stranger. However, I do want to say something in that regard. I've seen a lot of people saying, oh, we got Digimon Story Time Stranger and now this, how terrible in comparison. It's like, this isn't a console game, this isn't a PC game, this is a mobile game with a tiny department working on it. This is not the next great follow-up to Digimon Story Time Stranger. This is just something else in the multimedia empire. In my previous video on UP, I made the comparison between Pokemon X and Y and Pokemon Shuffle, and yeah, well, Pokemon Shuffle has more gameplay, I guess we could say that, although there is a matching minigame. There's minigames. When I get to the news section in a little bit, we'll talk more about things that might make the game more of a game. I do really want to talk quickly about an element that I think is misunderstood about me. Make this section personal real quick. I've seen some sentiment that my coverage of Digimon UP prior to the game coming out was me running PR, as if I'm like permanently sponsored by Bandai. I want to make something incredibly clear here. If I ever am sponsored by Bandai for anything, maybe Digimon UP, that video will have a very clear disclosure of paid content. I would legally have to. I do legally have to and do every time. Yes, I have been treated amazingly by Bandai. They give me free stuff, they come and hang out in my chats, they flew me out to LA to play Time Stranger before basically anyone else in the entire world. But when I make a Digimon video, if I don't say Bandai gave me this or this is sponsored by Bandai, it's my legitimate opinion. I'm not running PR and Bandai doesn't email me and say, hey, be nice about Digimon UP this week. That's just not how it works. I mean, I wish that was how it works, it'd be pretty cool. Now, obviously, I'm going to naturally be inclined to want to continue my relationship with Bandai Namco because I think it's really cool to get early access to stuff that I can share with the Digimon audience or just be paid potentially by a franchise that means so much to me. But if I truly don't like stuff, I always make my opinion known. I talked about stuff I didn't like about Digimon UP before release, and obviously this video is going to have criticism, and I've criticized plenty of Digimon products over the years. If I can be perfectly candid, my relationship with Bandai Namco is like a relationship with a neighbor that you get on very well with, but you don't tend to bother each other unless you need a cup cup of sugar, or you're thinking about inviting them to a barbecue. It's more rare, less regular, unless something big is happening. So even if I do make a sponsored video because I think it is worth it and because it's Digimon, I've always maintained if I got sponsored by Digimon, I would take it because it's the franchise that I make videos on. I would expect a Kingdom Hearts YouTuber to make a sponsored video from Kingdom Hearts 2. Videos that aren't sponsored, like again, naturally I'm going to be a little bit predisposed to positivity because of who I am and my relationship with Bandai, but no one pays me to make news videos on Digimon apart from you, apart from Patreon subscribers, YouTube channel members, and the ad revenue I get from these videos. It would be much more lucrative, I can assure you, to be angry about these things because hate clicks make so much more views. My last video on Digimon UP, which talked about the microtransactions, wasn't even negative, but it just asked, is it bad? And it did really well. I personally don't like incentivizing clicks or feigning hatred when I don't have it, because I find 90% of the time the truth is somewhere in the middle. There are good things and there are bad things. Anyway, and to the people I've seen saying they would be okay with it if I did ever get sponsored by something like Digimon UP, appreciate you. I remain in a real duality on this game. I think the sprite work is beautiful, and listen, I scroll TikTok, man. I've already got a brain rot mindset, so I actually get a decent amount of enjoyment out of this game. It's actually perfect for my job, a YouTuber. I know it's such a hard job. I can have the game open while I edit, research a video, etc. And there are legitimately things to do, menus to click through, gameplay to have, like I say, the digital world search, dungeons and things like that. I legitimately really enjoy this game for what it is. Do I enjoy it to the same level I enjoy Time Stranger? Of course not, but I still have a ton of fun with it. So I actually don't mind playing this game. Now, yeah, the home screen is completely idle. You just let the battles happen, but I do think there's actually more to do than people are giving it credit for, especially in the Explore tab, the dungeons and the PvP. The problem is with the game is it takes far too long for things that are actually interesting that you can actually do some input on to unlock. So for a majority of people, you're opening the game and all you're seeing is the idle battling, which yeah, is not great. It feels like a game of two halves. It feels like the actual designers, like the devs and the artists and stuff, wanted to make something really fun. The sprite work, the mini games, the references, like the Digimeat field being a reference to Digimon World 1, the digital dimension boxes being a reference to Vpet, which stings a little bit more given that people really wanted this to be a Vpet game, and tons of references with a lot of really interesting pulls for supported Digimon. And then the money men were like, no, more microtransactions, more idle elements, more ads. And I think, you know, I could accept the gacha. The gacha of Digimon mobile games has never been fair. This is just how mobile games monetize. But the ads thing feels really odd. The chat feature is also one of the game's most brilliant and worst parts. Currently, you only have the option for a general chat or a camp chat. I would really love a friend chat where everyone on my friends list could talk or whatever, but even if we only ever get general and camp chat, general chat is just filled with awfulness, and it does kind of peter out, and it got a little better over the days, but you have no option when you're playing the game on the home screen but to see the general chat. You can't choose which chat shows in your little chat box on the home screen, so you could spend just all day seeing people talking about, well, words that I probably can't say on YouTube because they are going to demonetize me if I do, but let's just say people are finding creative ways to get slurs past the very strict censor. You can't type the word dubs, but you can type some really awful words if you change L's for I's. Awesome. And besides that, the game launched pretty buggy. A lot of people couldn't get in because of error codes on day one. A Pokemon wall takes like 5 minutes for you to challenge it. PvP went down for a while because it was just completely balked. And now, since the new update, there's new problems. A Pokemon takes even longer. People can't get into the DD boxes. It is, however, launch week on a live service game, and this almost always happens. Unfortunately, it's just the nature of the beast. You can only stress test so much without actually allowing the floodgates to open and add every player. So while yeah, it sucks they keep having issues, this is an element I'm more forgiving of because I can't think of a live service game that hasn't had issues on launch. The ads though, I really think they've got to scrap this. I'm almost confident they'll make enough money from whales to not need these ads, and I've actually bought the ad pass. I really don't spend a lot of money on mobile games. In fact, I try and do as free to play as I possibly can at all times, and I find it fun to go free to play on these kind of things. Half of the fun is to see how much I can squeeze out of a mobile game without spending any money, but the ad pass is just a basic must buy. Now, yeah, you don't need to watch the ads. The ads ads aren't thrown in your face. You only watch ads when you click on them, but they give you a lot of rewards that are very much worth clicking on, so I just got the ad pass and then you just click on it. It's also very frustrating that you can watch ads to speed up the gameplay, but they've limited it to twice a day. Seems very pointless. Speaking of the gacha, it's a weird one. The two big banners currently are Agumon and Taichi and War Greymon that end on the 5th of August. For some reason, you can only get to do 10 pull a day with the Digi Emeralds, which are ostensibly the free currency you can accrue, but you can pull as much as you want using the paid Digi Diamond currency, and obviously that creates a massive disparity, especially on PvP, of people who are just going to spend money to get 2 Taichi and Agumon to upgrade into War Greymon. Now this is gacha to an extent. People who spend money are always going to do better, but this disparity is kind of crazy. I think personally, instead of making it 3,001 a day, maybe they should just make it unlimited on Digi Emeralds, but raise the amount. That seems more fair to me, especially if you consider that the current banners for Taichi and Agumon and War Greymon end on the 5th of August. That doesn't sound too bad, right? Here's the problem. You need to do 20 10 pulls, 200 pulls overall to hit Pity, to guarantee pulling another Taichi and Agumon and a War Greymon. Now, to be fair, because of the pre-registration campaign, everyone gets a free Taichi and Agumon, so at least you get the basic version. If you pull a second one, you can like upgrade it. But no one gets War Greymon for free, which means without spending money, you would have to have played on launch day. So if you hadn't been playing on launch day because either you couldn't get in or you hadn't found the game yet, then there is no way for you to hit Pity on this banner. Now, there's a chance the banners will repeat and maybe the Pity will carry over to the banner repeating, or maybe the event will end but they'll keep them there. But regardless, currently it means that you have to do a 3,000 pull every day from launch day, or else you will never hit Pity on Taichi and Agumon or War Greymon. Future Karn here with an update that's actually in Digimon UP's defense. Imagine that. People actually having nice things to say about the game. I'm actually seeing that way more on social media in the past day or so. Lots of people seem to be enjoying the game. It's got its own subreddit that's pretty active, but they actually are also giving out War Greymon summon tickets through the campaign mini game, the pairs game. So I currently am on track to hit Pity a couple of days before the banner ends, so theoretically if they do any more of that, it's even easier for people to hit Pity than it already is. Fair dues, Bandai. I'll talk more about the banners in a bit because we do seem to have some leaked information. But subjectively, I don't hate the gameplay loop. And when I say gameplay loop, that is just an industry term, a dev term. There is, no matter what you think, technically gameplay here. The home idle auto battler is almost like a eye catch, if anything, and I think the actual gameplay is really more the raising of your partner. While there isn't branching evolution, you can choose different paths to go down, like attack, critical attack, and SP support, although currently it seems that SP support is also basically the only path you should go down, because it means that you're almost impossible to be killed in anything but PvP. And then, like I say, the things in the Explore tab I actually enjoy. The Digital World Search, the Digimeat Field, the feeding and training, and even little things like the minigame that you've got in the campaign. I even went a little bit Pepe Sylvia on my stream to beat that 5th stage and get 10,000 points. I really think there is something at the core of Digimon UP that could actually be enjoyable for most people, but it's just not there yet. And I think that is the key, right? This is a live service game, and I hope if they want to keep it up, they can at least fix it and make it more enjoyable for more people. A lot of people want this to be a Vpet Simulator, and realistically, it was never going to be that because Bandai already makes a ton of money on Vpets. Releasing a free mobile game would cannibalize the Vpet market for them. Now, to be clear, that is why they won't do it, not that I think they shouldn't do it. When I explain something, that's not me justifying it, it's giving Bandai's reason. I do think they could kind of strike a balance somewhere though. Because this game is definitely themed on Digivice toys, you can buy Digivice skins from the camp shop. I think it would make sense if they did want to embrace that anime style evolution to kind of have the best of both worlds. Yes, the babies and then Gabumon, Garurumon, and Were-Garurumon, but why not introduce some level of branching at that stage? Say if you're an SP support or you fed your Digimon a certain amount of times, you're at a certain feeding level, you get Were-Garurumon. But if you've gone really hardcore, maybe you're like higher points in PvP or something like that, you can branch to Were-Garurumon such as Eirias mode. Then from there you could go to either Crest Garurumon or Metal Garurumon, etc. You don't have to introduce a ton of branching, but a little bit would be good. Let's say you've got Guilmon, you get it through to War Growlmon, and then you die a ton on the auto battler screen, it can become Megidramon, Greymon to Skull Greymon. Yes, it wouldn't be Vpet style branching of lots and lots of options, but it would be true to the anime style they're going for, while still actually representing the type of Digivolution in the anime. And then maybe eventually when we get to Ghost Game, they can add the Ghost Game Digivice skin for the Digivice, and then introduce Gamamon, who gets 4 branching champion options. You can be faithful to the anime and still include the branching evolution that the anime sometimes has. But of course it is much more restricted than the anime. But that again is an example of desire versus reality, because a lot of free-to-play Digimon games don't have branching options, even anime style. People claim over and over again to miss Eirias so much, and yet Eirias did basically the same thing with its banners. You would have one evolution line for a Digimon, not branches, and if you wanted to get, I don't know, Monochromon for Gotsumon instead of something else, you would have to pull on that banner or pull it in general. Even Digimon Masters, which is controversial, tends to have eggs that hatch into one Digivolution line. This is not unique to UP, it is not a fault that only UP has. Yes, you can dislike it, but we can't pretend like games that other people claim to like don't also do this. And like I've discussed, because this is a live service game, this list of partner Digimon is not going to be exhaustive. We already have Digivices from Frontier, Data Squad, Cross Wars, and Digimon Adventure 2020. It's so obvious to me that we're going to get an Agunimon partner, or for example an Adventure 2020 Agumon line that will become Blitz Greymon instead of War Greymon, stuff like that. These are just things that are going to get added over time due to the nature of the game, the type of game it is. This is true for all live service and mobile games. There is also sort of another component where you can almost make the game into your own Vpet. Once you raise your first partner Digimon to level 99, you can then use either a raising ticket or Digi Emeralds to unlock all of the other Digi-Eggs. Until you get to that point, you can only raise the one partner, but after that, you are completely free to jump around evolution. So if you want to get Botamon, raise it to Agumon, and then you get bored of that line, you can very quickly jump over, spend 500 Digi Emeralds, and get the Terriermon evolution line and raise that for a while. If you just spend your Digi Emeralds and unlock all of them, you basically have like a Digimon anime Vpet now, where you can just go back and forward. The only difference, of course, is that you don't get to branch into each of them, you just get to kind of like freely select them. Again, it's not perfect, but it is something that at least adds a bit of variety to unlocking more Digimon and doesn't make it as linear. However, you're not going to see that until you've played at least like 3 or 4 days of the game, so it's going to turn people off if they think that basically you're just locked into one evolution line over and over again, rather than the actual truth, which is that after you've done one evolution line through to 99, you can then just freely raise each of the partners as you want, and indeed even while raising one partner, you can make your Digimon look like another. There is more freedom here, but it's just very time gated. The servers also for the game are very weird right now and desperately need a fix. Currently, when you start the game, you are randomly assigned a server based on where you are, but it's not just like EU1, you might end up on EU13 and your friend might end up on EU12. If you don't know that going into the game, you might play a significant amount and then find out you can't even add your friends without switching servers. When you switch server, you have to start fresh. Yes, your character remains on the original server you were on, but you still can't add your friend on the other server. You have to be on the exact same server and number. This also applies to camps. This just seems arbitrary to me. For the PvP, yeah, sure, keep it server to server, but what does friends being on different servers matter for camp and friend list, especially friend list? I think bare minimum they need to change it so that as long as you're in the same continent, so North America, for example, Europe, Asia, doesn't matter which number server on, you can add each other as friends in camps, but really you should be able to add friends across all servers. The World Tour of Digimon Adventure 02 was nothing apparently for this game. International Digidestined Assemble. This again is where the live service factor comes in and hopefully they can listen to the fans. Like I say, they're almost certainly going to add Digimon from Frontier, Data Squad, Cross Wars, and Adventure 2020 because we already have those Digivices in the game. They could also maybe add a story mode. The game starts with something that feels very Digimon World-esque, with Digimon introducing itself, talking about this like calamity in the digital world, but then nothing really comes of that calamity. We just idle battle Digimon on the home screen. It would be cool if there was actually a story added to this game. It doesn't have to be particularly complex, but it would be nice. Little cutscenes to watch of our sprites and characters interacting to make our bond with our Digimon feel better. I also think given that they have made these supported Digimon, it would be kind of a freebie to turn supported Digimon into raisable Digimon. You don't have to make crafted new evolution lines, but for example, Espimon and Hover Espimon are already in the game, so why not have them digivolve to something random from the existing pool like Raiji Ludomon and Heavy Leomon? That's my big hope going forward, and I can't see a world where they don't at least add Impmon, right? The fact that the Tamer's representation is currently just Guilmon, Renamon, and Terriermon, I'm almost feeling like Lopmon, Impmon, Gardramon, etc. might become partners pretty soon. I'm now going to jump into Digimon UP news because it seems that we do have leaks for what the next set of banners will be that probably to me indicate the game was supposed to release sooner and have the second banner launch around Time Stranger on Switch and Switch 2. Because yes, after Taichi Yagami and Agumon, we have Davis Motomiya and Vmon. I guess he's not Daisuke. That's cool, I like Davis and Vmon, I'm a big 02 head, so this is cool for me. We also have an Inori and Aegiomon buddy summon, which I think is key. Very glad to see this. I think it would be very boring if it was just anime partners that get to be buddies. The game will be much more enjoyable if we represent the entire franchise like they have with the supporters. There is also an SP supporter summon for Aegiacusmon, kind of like the War Greymon. And then I think key here, we're looking at more minigames. So the summon summer event has this kind of like skewer kebab game of some variety with like a traditional Japanese market stall, and also a collab celebration event, which has Gabumon and Agumon in these Time Stranger boxes in Central Town. I hope again this is some kind of minigame, and I think that's how they can maybe bring the game back from the accusations of not having any gameplay. If there are lots of minigames and things to do that aren't just sitting on the home screen, hopefully it will have more for people to enjoy. It is a deeply flawed mobile game, but as I discussed online, I want to discuss here, it was way less of a shock for me because I was following the marketing. I was making videos on the marketing and it became very clear to me what it was. I am disappointed by the monetization specifically, but it's not like the game was never not going to have gacha. I just wish it would be more toned down, and again, the ads I don't love. This would sting a lot more if this was all we had. We've had times where like a new mobile game was it, basically. However, we just had Time Stranger. It just released on Switch 1 and 2. We know Elysian is supposed to come out this year. They've confirmed it's 2026. The TCG set comes out in December, so hopefully at least by December we'll have Elysian, and we know the Time Stranger DLC is next year. People are using Up as like, oh, this is it for Digimon. They've ruined everything, and they haven't. To hardcore fans, it's disappointing, but people that aren't fans are not going to be like, oh, Digimon sucks now. Coolville sucks. They're just going to ignore Up or maybe even try it out. This won't hurt anything. This is not going to make Bandai think that people don't like Digimon games, because we already know for sure they know we like Digimon games. They're just going to maybe focus differently in future. This game is not amazing, but I'm finding things to enjoy about it in spite of its problems. And that's okay if you don't. If you think it's absolutely trash, I don't care. Don't play the game. That's fine. If enough people don't play it, it'll go end of service. Whatever. For me, it's an enjoyable stream game because it's something to kind of have that doesn't require too much attention, but if I want to dive into the mini games and stuff, I can, and then I can talk with chat. But I definitely wouldn't advocate spending money on this game. Until it fixes itself and puts itself into a position that's actually a really enjoyable game, I don't think you're sending the right message by supporting it monetarily. Unless you want those bragging rights, I guess. But personally, I think the best things we can do are communicate the problems and ask for things that we want to improve. If the money source is not as hardcore, but it could be, perhaps they will add things like some minor deviation to evolution that still keeps it anime style, maybe adding more gameplay features or a story mode. Mobile games are always temporary. There is a rising trend of getting offline modes, but it's still not the greatest or the most prevalent. So I would just advocate, please do not spend tons of money on this just to show off your Agumon costume or whatever. If you enjoy the game, that's great. I find enjoyment in it too. But I think we generally have to accept that this is not the greatest Digimon game release of all time, despite the things I really enjoy about it, because it's equally offset by things that are not great. That's my stance. I personally think it could improve in many ways, but also like a lot of things about it, and those are two separate camps. If you feel that it is the worst thing ever, you are absolutely valid in that thinking, and if you're finding enjoyment in it and don't think it's that bad, you are too. I never expected anything intense from this game, and so I'm less disappointed other than in the monetization. However, I think a lot of people hyped up what this could be, and unfortunately were let down by what they received, and that's fine. Like I say, because this is live service, that is where I think they can actually address issues with this game, and thankfully, those changes could be made if they wanted to. The real issue is, will they actually make those changes? Will they add more substance to this game? I don't know if they will, but I'm hopeful. That's it for now on Digimon UP. I'm going to continue streaming it like once a week or so until Elysian comes out, hopefully later in this year, and then Elysian is going to dominate the channel for a while. But I just wanted to make this video on Digimon UP to talk about the issues and the news, and then I'm probably not going to make dedicated Digimon UP videos until something really significant happens, like either they fix some really good stuff, or maybe there's like a significant overhaul or update, but more likely you'll probably see tidbits of Digimon UP news in other news videos going forward. Thank you to my sovereign ZDK14 and everyone else who supports me over on patreon.com/Karn EX and my YouTube channel members here on YouTube. You guys are amazing, and I'll see you next time when we go digital. Bye bye.